come and show this again.
See how beautiful the color is. This baby ones. And I will put calcium. Video is still on the video. This, see, go and picture that. Raise that on the making take quick video.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
See
wonder where begin the start.
Beautiful. Hello, welcome to Bonniehood Snail Farm once again. It is nice to have you in our platform, and I'm very sure you're going to get a lot of value in today's session. Just as you know, snail farming is relatively new, especially in parts of Africa. And what is even more new is the soilless snail farming, which is gaining momentum by the day. And a lot of farmers are moving their interest towards soilless snail farming. Individual reasons may differ to why some farmers prefer soilless snail farming, or a lot of farmers are now thinking towards the aspect of soilless snail farming. Some may have the reason of, okay, because there is no soil, I don't want infections from the soil, okay. Some will say, well, I feel it's neat and easier to handle. Well, some may say, because I love Bonniehood Snail Farm's way of doing soilless snail farming, I watch the videos and I enjoy them. And some may even say, because I feel that maybe they survive more and give you the comfort of management. Well, a lot of reasons may be there. Everybody have his own reason, one or the other reason to why they love soilless snail farming. But in today's video, I want to make you to understand that in as much as soilless snail farming is fun, it's nice, it's awesome. I personally love soilless snail farming, and a lot of farmers who we've been able to set up soilless snail farms are actually having those same beautiful experiences, and their testimonies are just massive. Okay, but then notwithstanding, that does not mean that other soilless snail farm or other farming systems are not good. No, you know, snail farms or snail farming, like I always told people, go for what works for you. You can be the one doing a greenhouse or soil system or any kind of system at all, as long as it works for you, perfect to go for it. In as much as I love soilless snail farming, I also would always be very plain to every farmer that comes my way and be very sincere to you, and I have to tell you that soilless snail farming is not a perfect system, okay, of snail farming. And you have to understand that there is no perfect snail farming system, whether be it a greenhouse, whether be it any other extensive system or whatever soil system, or including a soilless system. There is no perfect snail farming system. That you must know before you go into snail farming. So you don't go in and say, they told me a lie, they told me this, told me that. Please, you have to understand what you are going into. All right, so there are a lot of efforts to put in, there are things you have to do, there is money you have to spend on feed, on care management and all that, you know, time and all that. So in whichever system you use, it is still there. All right, a lot of persons, especially when they try to advertise extensive systems like the greenhouses, they say, well, you just plant things and leave the snails and then, you know, just go your way, and then they will. Well, it's not just like that. All right, if you just do that, put your leaves and whatever and walk away, you end up coming back in a month, 2 months time and discover that your farm is on the ground. All right, so every snail farming system, have their own challenges and have their own advantages as well. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the bad and the good of soilless snail farming. All right, it's a very nice topic, and I believe it is something that has overdue, that should have dropped this long ago. A lot of persons have asked of this video, come on, tell us what is the disadvantage of soilless snail farming. Well, in my ebook, I've actually talked about that in a more detailed format. I made a chart and I talked about the advantages and the disadvantages of soilless snail farming. There I mentioned a lot of things, and then I will be mentioning some of those things in the ebook here, and then I'll also be talking some other extra things to make you understand the bad and the good, that is the advantage and disadvantages of soilless snail farming in this video. So before we dive into the advantage and disadvantages of soilless snail farming, please, if you are new to this channel, kindly click the subscribe button and smash the notification bell so you will be notified whenever we upload beautiful videos like this. And also don't forget, Bonniehood Snail Farm has produced amazing products, really amazing products. We have produced the ant insect repellent. That is an organic product that takes care of ants and insects, cockroaches, what kind of ant at all, takes care of them, kills them and take them off your farm. So you don't need to bring out your snails to sprinkle the repellent into the farm. You had it in the farm, the snails can eat it, they will even do better, they look healthy, it will boost their immunity and all that. And also recently we just also produced a snail egg booster, which is also extremely effective. Everyone who had used our snail egg booster has come back to testify. So go back to all our videos and enjoy yourself. Now let's continue. So the number one disadvantage of the soilless snail farming we're going to talk about is calcium provision. Now, as you know, that in a soil system, while snails are able to have access to the soil, which gives them calcium as well, you know, soil and stones and all that in the soil also helps them in calcium to an extent. But in the soilless system, since there is no soil at all, that means you have to spend more in buying calcium supplements always in your farm if you really want your snails to do well. And plus or minus, calcium supplements are quite expensive, especially if you will have to buy them every time, because you have to make sure you have calcium supplements always in your farm. So I think that is a little bit of setback in the soilless snail farming. Now, number two is that your mulching materials have to be enough, okay? Because in the soil system where the mulching materials are there as well, and then there is this tendency of snails to bury themselves under the soil. But in the soil system, there's nothing like that for them to bury themselves. So you have to ensure that there are a lot of mulching materials. You could be using plantain leaves, banana leaves, and you know, all kind of leaves, dry leaves and all that. But then you have to ensure that they are enough, so much for the snails to hide under, so they can you know, maintain their beautiful color, maintain the level of moisture they need, help them, you know, manage the temperature and all that. So in that way, they are bound to do well. Like in the Bonniehood Snail Farm, we use sacks, you know, reusable mulching materials, due to the fact that trying to get plantain leaves most of the time is quite difficult, especially in places in big cities like Lagos. Like in Bayelsa, where I base, you know, we have quite plus or minus, we can have them to an extent, but how long are you going to have them? So for that reason, we go, you know, we improvise the mulching materials, and we have something we can use and wash and use. I've even made a video in respect to that, so you can see what I use for mulching materials, and then you can use that, so you don't have to go begging your neighbors of planting leaves and all that. So getting those leaves is an issue, especially owing to the fact that you need to have so much of them. So that means you have to get them, you know, possibly you have to buy, because if you want to have plantain leaves all the time and frequently and in very large quantities, those who are giving it to you may not want to give it for free. Okay, they will not have to pay money and all that. So that is also one of the disadvantages. Unlike the soil, where you can just add maybe a few, I know, plantain leaves, the snails will augment with the soil there, and then they easily do better. When in soilless snail farming, there is nothing to augment. You have to do what you have to do. Okay, so the number three disadvantage of the soilless snail farming is that the snails in soilless snail farming are bound to dry out faster. Dry out is a situation whereby the moisture in the pen is lost, and then the snails find it difficult to move around, you know, and they feel this adverse environmental effect on them, and that can also lead to their mortality. So just like I said in the previous the number three, that snails use the soil, you know, to bury themselves, you know, and stay fine for themselves, help them with calcium and all that. But in soilless snail farming, now that we don't have soil there, there is a way of increased, loss of humidity from the pen, because the soil itself, if it's in the pen, it helps to absorb a lot of moisture, a lot of humidity, and then and it helps that soil that is being absorbed in the soil to help to serve it throughout the pen for the whole day. So it helps to keep the moisture, and the moisture is very important. Snails need over 80% of moisture to do very well. Okay, so that means the moisture is very important. So if you don't have that, that means your mulching materials, your sprinklers, your whatever you use to make sure the pen is always cool must be in abundance and in a standby, because moisture is extremely important. Once it is tampered with, the snails will be highly affected. So the next disadvantage of soilless snail farming is that when your snails drop their eggs, and especially if the farm is not properly set up, the rate at which the eggs would get damaged is faster. That means sometimes your snails will lay their eggs at one corner and you are unable to pick those eggs for a day, 2 days, 3 days, and you are sprinkling water steady, and the snails are easily having access to that egg. Some of them will go and lick the eggs and all that. In let's say in the next 2-3 days, you discover that those eggs will lose their potency of hatching. And you know what that is? If your eggs does not hatch, that means your farm cannot grow. So in soilless snail farming, you pick the eggs daily. If you can, you pick the eggs 2 times a day, morning and evening, to avoid spoilage and easily having for the snails to easily have access to it. Now, contrary to this, in the soil system, the snails can actually bury their eggs on the soil. So it is difficult for snails to easily have access to it, unlike the soilless snail farming where the eggs are just open and they are just there. Okay, don't get me wrong. I did not say that when you keep eggs in an open space or covered with a sack or with the leaves, it will get damaged. No, it depends on the condition of your farm. That's why I said if your farm is properly set up. So it depends on the condition of your farm. So like in our farm where these things are carefully set up, we hardly witness egg damage, and the hatchability is massive. Now this brings me to a good news I wanted to tell you. I have just produced a new way of hatching my snail eggs without bothering about sprinkling of water, studying the soil moisture and all that. So this is a very easy, very simple step, but the hatchability is very high. So probably maybe in my next video or in the next 2-3 videos, I would likely drop that video, and it's very easy and the hatchability is very high. All right, so once you just put your eggs in a local incubator, you just sprinkle water once, and then you can cover your incubator for the next 21 days. Come back and pick your eggs. It's as simple as that. Okay, so nothing of let me check if the soil is this or that. No. The soil is always perfect. It's a condition we've made, and we have been using it for some time. We've had good results. In the video you will see all those results, and some few farmers who are able to get access to it are already using it, and the testimonies are massive. And also I want to also use this time to also remind you that we are about running our training, so a comprehensive training where we'll teach you how to set up a soilless snail farm. We are teaching you 3 different models, 3 different systems of models we've created in soilless snail farm. You will set it up by yourself, train you A to Z of it in detailed form, and you can become a consultant in soilless snail farming after that training. And with the guidance and mentoring, you have a good farm and you do well in soilless snail farming. Again, the last disadvantage we're going to talk about is that snails struggle to keep their cool in soilless snail farming if the farm is not properly set up. So a lot of things, so many things surrounding soilless snail farming depends on how properly the farm is set up. So it's not something you just come and do whatever you like and say, yay, my snail farm, and 2 days, 3 days, in a month, 2 months, you come back and say, they are dying and this, that, they are not doing well, they are not doing that, so let's come on. So it's not something like that. So anything we're doing is we're doing well. So get a good expert or experienced farmer to help you out, okay, either by training or coming down to set a farm for you. And Bonniehood Snail Farm is in for all these provisions. So if you would have us around, please do and call us. Thank you. So like I said, if not properly set up, it's difficult to keep your snails cool in soilless snail farming, because the pen needs something that will absorb water, okay, the moisture, and at the end of the day it will be able to bring out that moisture, that to increase the humidity for the snails to do well. So in drier months around November to February, egg retention is usually low in most farms because of the heat and all that. But you should also know that if your farm is properly set up, you will not experience that issue of snails not laying. All right, in our soilless snail farm we have no break. Snails keep laying every day. Snails keep laying every day, especially with our recent booster we produce. We give to the snails, and man, it's been massive. So just get up and prepare. And again, before I proceed to the advantages of the soilless snail farming, let me also give us one more disadvantage of soilless snail farming. And that disadvantage of soilless snail farming is that your pen has to be cleaned more regularly than the soil system. All right, because in soilless snail farming, once your pen get dirty, once the feces begin to accumulate, once the leaves begin to rot inside the pen, your snails will start to die. The mortality will increase. All right, so that is also a disadvantage. So you have to clean your pen. That is why whenever you see our pens in our videos, they are very clean. So some people even began to wonder how possible is it to farm your snails without soil, because they feel they needed something, one or two things like soil and all that on the floor. But when they come, they see very clean, thoroughly clean pens, and they begin to wonder. But little did they know that that is the secret of our success in soilless snail farming. So if you don't keep your pen in soilless snail farming, there is no way you are going to make headway in soilless snail farming. Well, in the next video I'll be talking about the major kind of food that causes mortality in your snail farm in soilless snail farming, especially from our experience. So get ready for that video as well. Thank you. So next we'll be talking about the advantages of soilless snail farming, which is the good of soilless snail farming. Well, you have to understand that for the fact that I've talked about disadvantages does not mean that soilless snail farming does not have advantages. Of course, if there were no more convincing advantages, I wouldn't be doing soilless snail farming, right? So you know where I'm going. But then we just with the right understanding that everything with an advantage have a disadvantage. All right, so that we don't go around teaching you only the good side of soilless snail farming, and then people like, hey, I know, and at the end of the day you set up your home farm and then you begin to shout. So these are disadvantages, are things you are supposed to expect, especially if you don't set your farm properly. So that is why there is a massive need for a proper soilless snail farm setup. All right, so that is it. So right now we are diving into the advantages, the good of the soilless snail farming. So the number one advantage, that is the good of soilless snail farming, is that there is no stress of changing your soil in a pen. All right, so as you know, in a soil system you have to get a good soil. All right, a really good soil, a good loamy soil, maybe possibly with a little mix of sandy, but good loamy is very okay. So you get that soil, and then you have to understand that if you get the wrong soil, you are bound to get quite a number of issues in your farm. All right, so the soilless snail farming does not have that issue of soil, does not have the issue of getting the right soil so that your snails can do well. No, it's not there. So you don't have a soil in the farm and the snails will still do well because of the mechanisms we've put in place in the Soilless Snail farm. So the stress of sorting out for soil in your farm is not there. And one thing about the sorting is that you don't just sort soil in your farm and then leave it just like that. Occasionally, from time to time, when the soil is looking worn out, you have to change your soil, and all that stress of sorting for soil. Some persons go as much as buying their soil. A lot of farmers buy their soil because they don't know if they are getting the right soil or not. So it's not everybody that understands soil. So since they don't want to gamble into that, what they do is just call an expert, say please supply me soil, and the person will charge you and then dig up a loamy soil somewhere and sell it to you. So that stress, that money that you would have used for buying of a loamy soil will be saved in Soilless Snail farming, and that stress of changing the soil on all that will not be there. So that's a good one to look at, I guess, right? Okay, so the next point is that the next advantage is that soil related diseases are hardly experienced in Soilless Snail farming. All right, so in Soilless Snail farming, the issues of incessant mortality, the issues of I don't know what caused this mortality, is not always there. It's not that much, especially as a result of infections and diseases and all that from the soil. Is not there since you don't have a soil in your farm. So if you don't have a soil in your farm, if you're practicing Soilless Snail farming, the advantage is that you are taking off quite a number of headache from your head, especially headaches that could cause severe mortality in your farm. All right, another point is that despite the fact that I said in the disadvantage of Soilless Snail farming, it has to be cleaned frequently, the advantage is that it is easier to clean. All right, you can just run a water on it and it will just flow off, and then that is it, you are done. So the cleaning is very easy and very efficient and very comfortable to do. All right, so it is easier to clean. The pens are easier to clean. All right, so that's another advantage. So we are going to the next advantage, and that is snails' activities are easier to monitor. So unlike the soil system where sometimes you find your snails buried in the soil and it's already dead, okay, for one reason or the other, but in the Soilless Snail farm, it is easy to monitor your snails. You can just raise your mulch and you see all your snails. I mean all. Okay, there is no case of it's saying one snail buried itself or here or there. No, you can just raise your mulch and you see all your snails. You see how they are doing. So once you raise it, you see how your snails are doing. You can easily monitor them and tell if they are doing well or not and all that. All right, unlike the soil system where sometimes the snail will bury itself and it's dead. Until you dig it out, you won't know the snail is dead. And once it's dead, it will invite fruit flies and ants, insects and all that, and you can even breed infections, contaminations in your farm, and will start to kill other snails. All right, and that is a very serious disadvantage in the soil system. But actually in the Soilless Snail farming, since there is no soil, you don't experience those kind of cases. All right, so you just raise your mulch, you can see generally almost everything that is happening to your snails. All right, the next advantage of Soilless Snail farming is that there is no waterlogging. Right, there is no waterlogging in your Soilless Snail farm. Why? Because a well or properly constructed Soilless Snail farm will have a water runoff where when sprinkling, the water is actually going out. So no water stands in a properly constructed Soilless Snail farm. Like our farms, none of our farms has the ability of retaining water in the farm. Okay, it doesn't, because when water is retained in the farm, it can they most time mixed up with the feces, mixed up with the food debris, breed infections, contaminations, and can start to kill your snails. So this is completely controlled. So So in a good soilless snail farm, no water stands inside, so all the water moves out. Only thing that is left is the moisture the snails will need to do better, and that is a perfect way to raise your snails. And this way you can raise very healthy snails, sound, effective snails that with sharp colors, just like you're seeing in our videos. When you look at them, you feel happy, and you know that you're actually making headway. So that is one advantage for you. So to actually experience this experience of no water logging, it has to be an expert setup. So it should be a farm that is properly set up by an expert team. Just like I told you before, Bonniehood Snail Farm is in for this kind of setup. So we are in for any of this kind of setup, right? Yeah. Wow, another advantage of the soilless snail farming is that it is easy to detect predators like ants, cockroaches, snakes, rats when they peradventure get into your farm. Well, while setting up the farm, we try to make sure that rats and all that are prevented from getting into the farm, but most of the time it is very difficult to prevent cockroaches, small things like cockroaches and very tiny snakes going into your farm. So if you have a soilless snail farm, it is easy to check if anything has actually crawled into your farm. You will just raise your mulch and probably the hide, and you see whatever that is there. There's a snake, there's a rat, a cockroach, ants, insects. You are going to see all of them. Okay, there is no case of maybe some have hidden themselves in the soil, and maybe later they come up to harm your snails and all that. That is not there in soilless snail farm. So that is also a massive one that cuts down the rate of mortality in soilless snail farming. So predators cannot hide. That's what I'm trying to say. Predators cannot hide in a soilless snail farm, right? So once you open your farm, you raise your hide or your mulch, and you see everything. So if there is any predator, you can easily take care of it, right? Just like when ants get into your soil farm, even if you sprinkle the Bonniehood anti-repellent, it will kill the ants, cockroaches and all that, that are around and all that. But sometimes some ants could bury themselves deep down into the soil unless you mix the the anti-repellent with maybe water and the sprinkler and allow it to fuse into the soil and all that. But if not, some ants can still hide under the soil, bury themselves. After some days, when the effect of the repellent has been reduced, they can still come up and do what they have to do. Well, I talked about cockroach being a predator. Well, some of you are like, cockroach predator? Yeah, cockroach it is. We've had a lot of cases where cockroaches feast on the flesh of snails to the extent that they start to cause patches on the flesh of the snails. Okay, rats can do that, and cockroaches can as well do that. So they are actually pests. So you don't need to keep them in your farm. You have to ensure that you have a good system where you can get rid of these things as soon as they get into your farm. Wow, among several advantages of the soilless snail farming, I think I will talk about this as the last one for this video, and that is that it is easy to locate eggs in the snail farm. All right, it is extremely easy to locate eggs in a snail farm, in a soilless snail farm. Well, while I was using my early years in farming, while I was using a soil system, there was this particular day I checked my pen, and while checking I saw some baby snails. I was wondering because all the eggs are usually removed and then they are incubated in a separate incubator, local incubator, which I made. But then that day I saw some baby snails walking inside the pen. I was so surprised, so I have to dig the soil and check. I discovered that there were some eggs that were buried which I didn't get to notice, and some of the babies hatched, and more than half of the eggs were damaged because of the frequent sprinkling of water. So a lot of those eggs were damaged, and that was it. But just few babies, and I was able to get those babies. So that is not a good thing. Okay, in a soilless snail farming, you can just raise they hide the sacs and you see all your eggs. I mean all, no egg can stay back. You get all, you pick them, you incubate them, and you have a good result of them. Well, I said that was the last one, but I think I should also give you one more advantage for your consumption. You can easily detect a sick snail and quarantine it. Well, I advise farmers that if you find a sick snail, you can easily remove it and quarantine it, put it in a separate place and care for it, wash it more closely for the next day, and then see if it is okay or not. If it is, then you can move it back to the main stock. So in a soilless snail farming, you can easily detect the snail when it's sick, okay, and you can remove it, or when it looks like it wants to die, you can easily see what is happening and remove that snail and care for it. If you watch this video to this extent, that is a sign that you love our video and you really enjoy watching this video. So please, for us to keep growing, just help us to subscribe, give us a thumb up so that the video can be recommended for more viewers, and also click the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload useful videos. We appreciate you for the motivation for more videos. Thank you for watching.